So we have this 3D bouncing ball, and it bounces forever. But yeah, it's at least a little bit more interesting to look at, but potentially I would like to have a little bit more of complex behavior. And you can do that by adding scripts to the entity, by adding some more features to it. When I first started with O3DE, it actually first showed the script canvas where you can add all certain nodes to it to connect them together. So it's like a visual way of programming. But actually work on this project, I actually decided to go into Lua, which is another more of like a line-based programming scripting language, to be exact. Before I set up the full environment for C++ development, which I actually want to go for. So far, Lua has been very easy to get started with. So let's add a Lua script to the Roboball. So you can do that by selecting the Roboball, add component, Lua scripts, very, very minimal Lua scripts. But then you can select the Lua script editor, which is this symbol right here. A moment it opened up in a different screen. And this is the Lua editor. And it's kind of empty right now. So I'm going to go to File, New, and yeah, Assets. I guess technically it is an asset, but I like to actually keep it in a separate folder called Scripts. Here you go. And I will call it Robo World. So we have a Lua script right here, and we're going to make the ball say hello, or at least hello world, which is kind of like a very standard basic scripting example, programming example that any of the what at least like this Lua script needs is the properties, like local hello world and then properties. There's nothing in there, but that's kind of like what it needs to at least return back to the Lua component, which is hello world. And then it needs to be this, how do you say, this struct needs to return something. If I would go back and I would say use this script, then you can see it created right here, yay. And then of course it won't do anything if you look at the console. But I can make the console a bit bigger. Not sure if you're able to see anything with just HD, but I can explain it to you. If we would start the game, then you would enter games, spawnables, don't know exactly what it is, and then exit game mode. So there's now currently nothing showing. So let's make sure that here in the console we can say hello world or goodbye world. So back to the Lua editor. At least we know that the entity took the script without any issues. For now. Okay, so let's start with the first function, which is the onActivate function. And then it also needs to, this is something that I have to get used to, like ending functions with end. And then if I want to print something on the console, debug log hello, comma, world, and then save this with Control S. What will happen? Hello world! There's hello world right there. Yay! For those that are more experienced developers of O3DE, you must be thinking like, why you're so excited? But you know about the demo and last couple of times when I showed all kinds of errors. Well, not with this particular one. Now I'm very much prepared and I know exactly how the Lua script has to look like. But it's nice that it says hello. Now I want it to say goodbye. So I want it to say function hello world. Wait, it's the world. It's interesting that it won't react on this tab, but that's fine. On deactivate end, and then I want to say the setting. So this. I'm just going to assume that everything will work. Goodbye, world. Sounds very drastic, doesn't it? It sounds very drastic. Okay, it's saved. Let's just also save prefab. Always say there's no automatic save as far as I know, but yeah, it might be a nice feature to have. I'm sure that somebody already applied for it. Okay, so then if I play the game's hello world and if I press exit, goodbye world. Oh. Now I actually want it to say hello the entire time. Make it say hello again and again and again. Which means that every time the game has been played, every frame or every tick, it needs to log something. Not necessarily that it necessarily needs to show something on the console. I would like to use this for later parts of this tutorial. This is going to be done by connecting to the tick notification bus, which is done by onActivate, say self tick notification bus, because I think by standards hello world by adding the entity has inherited this particular function, so that every tick that the entity endures, it will, at least this boss will make sure it's activated. That means this tick plus connects to self. Yay. So that it is connected, but there's also a function that's also inherited that, and that is hello on tick delta time current time, and then it says debug log hello again. Like, I haven't figured out yet, but I will do that soon, how to get the right format of the current time. Yeah, I will make sure to kind of like, once I get to a bit more complex part of this project, that I for sure know how to get the actual time, because it's definitely going to be necessary at one point. Shouldn't forget that also when we close the game, that it should also disconnect from the applications as well. Hands down for the demo effects. Oh, it still compiles, like compiles to halfway, right? Let's play the game. Hello again! Ah, too much hello. Very needy ball. Ah, okay. No compilation errors and no runtime errors. Yeah. Getting somewhere. And now we're going to play even more with physics. So I'm going to add now a linear impulse to the ball. Because it's nice that it's bouncing like this and talking so much. But that is not what I eventually want to do. This is just kind of like to test things out. What I actually wanted to do is actually to move somewhere else than its own place. So let's open up, select the entity again, go to the Lua scripts and open up the editor. And I'm going to make a new Lua script. Oh, I already opened up the editor. Let's save this one for sure. And new, and I will call it Roboball movement. Right, so same thing as before. I have to make a table struct. However, Lua is calling it with the properties, and we're actually going to do something with those properties now. And then we also want to return it. Yeah, the editor kind of like gives like a small dot for any spaces, which I'm not a particular fan of. But on the other hand, you can also see when there's a space, but it would be nice to actually have a bit more space. Okay, so the same thing as before, it's like the function movements and then on activates. Hoping to have an automatic ending of that. Movement on deactivate end. And I would like to also use the same tick notification as before. Patient plus tick plus connect self. Add the on tick function as well. Movement on tick delta time current time. So just to make sure that it's accepting this script. So hello world, I move it to movement. And now at least it's going to be a little bit more quiet. It's going to be quiet, but it's going to show its worth in behavior. Namely, we're going to add a linear impulse to it, which is rigid body quests events apply linear impulse self and an entity ID, which is the ball itself, or the entity where this script is attached to. Okay, so now it will actually apply, well, let's tick yet. Let's just do it on activate. I don't think this is actually going to work, but we can just put it a little bit higher. Because I think when I tried this last time, the on activate is actually activated before all the physics stuff is activated. So it will actually not do anything here. So hence we have to try it on every tick. Oh, that's why it didn't work, because I was in the wrong Lua. So let me just do the same thing, like on activate, because now we know it didn't react because it was in the wrong script. Beginner's mistake. Now, okay, yeah, so I was right. It's not activated when this is actually happening. So let's copy paste this, and I'm just going to get rid of all these spaces and do tab. I know what convention is in Lua, but let's do it. So just want to make sure, because it's like this impulse is being given every tick. Alright, this is a very slow moving forward. It's actually in the Y direction, so I actually want it to be in a different direction, but let's not do it on kind of like a little bit slow. So 0, and now it's also the time for me to add a property, impulse size, because I'm not sure what the actual unit is of those impulses, so I can already say force or maybe maybe you can call it kick, but impulse size, let's do that. And then you can add that here as self properties and impulse size. So it will replace it with whatever is in here, and I just place it back to 1. Great, control save, go back to the Roboball, and okay, see? You can actually now see the actual entity here, and you can change its size as well. If you just play it now, it's just going forward very slowly. But how about if we make it go forward very, very fast? Well, let's start with 5. Let's see if that's a unitless 5. It's going a bit faster indeed. How about 10 or 100? Let's do 10. Ah! It's going away. Yeah. So it's definitely going forward, but we cannot really see it. So like now I see a pixel going off the edge. But I want to see it going off the edge. It means is that we need to add a camera rig. And I'm definitely not an expert. Like I had some problems. I've tried to already set up a camera rig before. It's not yet the behavior that I would like, but at least like I go to behavior that is enough at least for this particular one. But the thing is that with the camera rig, and that's also something that I figure out, if I just add a component here, camera rig, and I think this is actually something that they've already... Oh, no, sorry. Let me start again. This is the ball entity. What I want to do is add a camera rig to the camera, which is here in Atom default environment. I'm just going to reuse that particular camera. So if you do that and then you add, you already have that fly camera input, which is if you play the game, that's what's this behavior, and you can also go for. So I can actually follow the ball. That's possible. But I might also want to use the controls for something else. But I actually want to use the control to control the ball itself. So it's a bit unhandy to do both the camera and so let's add a camera rig, disable this fly camera input. I will just disable it, I think that should be possible. And then you want to get the camera rig in here. But this is, yeah, I don't know like if that's a bug or just like if that there is kind of like an error here if like no suitable derived class is found. And that is because it's missing the starting point camera gem. So that means is that I would need to save everything, including this Lua script. Let's close everything and we go to the project manager of O3DE. And then we go to configure gems, starting point input. No, not input, camera. Activate it. And then you want to say save. Your Roboball project will likely need to be rebuilt. That is absolutely correct. So let me just, my camera is, or like my camera footage is constantly in the way. So the save button was right here. And now I got this error. So I would need to build this project and experience that this will only take a few minutes. And the ball is still here. The ball is still moving. Good. But we said that we wanted to add a camera rig. We couldn't because we still had to add the camera starting point or the starting point camera thing. So let's do that. The camera entity in the Atom default environment. And now I shouldn't get any error. Camera rig, target acquires. Yes, no error. So I can now add what's like an acquire entity by ID. That's indeed correct. And the entity target that I want to follow is obviously the Roboball. So I select the entity right here. I drag it. Okay, wait. Select camera. Only select once and keep dragging it so that it doesn't select the Roboball. There I go. So it has now the entity target. Here it also says like use the target rotation, use the target position. So I want it to use both. And like now I'm just going to keep the rig very simple. So I'm just going to do like an extra transform behavior, which follows the target from an angle. Because right now, like if I would, for instance, like play it now, it would, oh, it's not even, no, because there's nothing happening, of course, there's nothing, like it knows the target, but it doesn't know what to do with the target. I just want to follow it from an angle. And now the camera is actually not really, like if I'm going to enable it now, it's going to look towards it thinks like actually the y-axis, which is something that I still have to figure out. So I want it to be on the yaw and it needs to be minus 90 degrees for some reason, and I want it to follow it from 5 meters. I think that should be fine for this demonstrative purposes. So, yay! Cannot still not really use my, but yeah. So that means is that we can actually see the ball now going over the edge. Because the ground is not big enough. You need to put some walls in this environment, that's for sure. It's a long ground plane. Yay! Yeah, now it's falling all the way down.